You start in a hallway, three doors in front of you, one door behind you, and that door behind you leads outside. Sunlight, air, a whole estate waiting to be explored. You can go outside, you can walk the grounds, find the fountain, the tents, the elevator that goes down, the outshack, perhaps even some hints that there's something beneath the mansion, but you can't leave. Game won't let you. Some games do. Let you escape. Blueprints puts the exit right there and says, you can't have it. Today we're walking through Blueprints, not as a game, but as a map of the traumatized mind. Every room is a memory, every door is a choice, every failure is data, and every loop is a chance to learn something more. You can also learn that you don't have to do it alone. There's a secret to Blueprints the game doesn't tell you. It's not a solo game, it's a community game. Puzzles are hard, the clues are scattered, the mansion is vast. You can try and do it alone, you will fail, and then you'll start looking for help. There's a parallel there, a lesson the game is teaching you, whether you notice it or not. Trauma survivors often isolate. They carry the weight alone, they believe they have to, but the game, like life, is almost impossible to fully complete solo. And sometimes the thing you need most is someone to show you something you would have never thought to look for. So let's start outside, because the game lets you walk out the front door, lets you breathe the fresh air, lets you see the path leading away from the mansion, and for a moment you think, I could leave, but you can't. However, you can explore the grounds, the fountain, the tents, like I said. That's the first thing the game teaches you. Escape is an illusion. You can go outside, you can pretend you're not standing on the property, but you are. And the mansion is always behind you, and sooner or later, you have to go back inside. Now, trauma survivors, we know this. The feeling of leaving, of moving on, of being outside the thing that happened. But you're not really outside. The property's always there. You can walk the grounds, you can find new rooms, but you can't leave. And the game, like the mind, won't let you. You're not just exploring a mansion, you're following a boy who lost his mother, and a grandfather who, before he died, left him a quest: find the 46th room. Now his mother, she helps along the way. Her voice are in the rooms, her memory is in the puzzle. She's not there, she's gone, but she's present. A presence that says, you can do this, I believe in you. And that's the boy's trauma, losing her. Carrying the weight of his grandfather's final wish, walking into a mansion that might not have an answer, looking for a room that might not exist, and the only thing keeping him going? Someone believes he could do it. There's this idea that it doesn't take a village, it takes one person, the right person. The person who sees you when you can't see yourself. The person whose belief becomes a mirror you finally look into and think, maybe I can. And that belief, it's not magic. It doesn't make the mansion easier, it just makes you keep going. Anyway, the game gives you her, and that's enough to walk back into the door. One person, the right person, is all any of us need to try again. Here's the thing about one person. They can't solve the puzzle for you. And Blueprints, the puzzles, they get pretty hard. Perhaps too hard for one mind. And that's what it doesn't tell you. But it'll let you try. You can try, do it alone. You can fail alone. It'll let you think that if you just try harder, think smarter, push further, you'll figure it out. Maybe you will. Eventually, after a couple of runs, after some failures, you might start to think there might be another way. The people who designed the game, I believe they designed it for a community. The puzzles are scattered. The clues are hidden across rooms you might never see in the same run. The solution isn't in one mind, it's in many minds, sharing what they've seen, comparing notes. The game even tells you, grab a journal, a book, it's going to help. Build maps together. I mean, just like you see in the game, you got the red envelopes, the sticky notes, the messages scattered by the numerous characters, all working together towards whatever goal. If you play Blueprints long enough, you'll eventually hit a wall. A puzzle that makes no sense, a room that won't open, a clue that seems to lead nowhere, and if you're willing, do what the game wants you to do. You'll seek help. And here's the thing about community. It could, but it doesn't just give you the answers. It shows you things that you would have never thought to look for. Details your eyes skipped over, patterns your brain didn't connect, rooms you walk past 100 times without realizing they're important. They help you. Doing it for you isn't the same as helping you. There are puzzles and blueprints that no one solved alone. The first people to do it, they were in forums, Discord servers, sharing notes. Someone noticed a symbol on a wall that no one else noticed, and someone else remembered seeing that symbol in a different room, on a different run, in a different part of the mansion, and together they made a connection that neither could have made alone. That's the design. That's the secret the game doesn't tell you. You're not meant to do this alone. The mansion is too vast, the clues are too hidden, your eyes will miss things. Your brain will fail to make connections. You need other people to show you what you're not seeing. And that's not a weakness, that's the whole point. That's human. Now, trauma survivors often believe a lie, and the lie is, I have to do this alone. No one will understand. If I tell anyone, they'll see how broken I am. That lie is seductive. It feels safer. If you're alone, no one can reject you. If you're alone, no one can see the parts of you that you're ashamed of. If you're alone, you're in control. But the lie is also a cage. And the cage is the mansion. And you cannot leave it alone. Blueprint is teaching you something, not with words, with design. You cannot fully complete it without other people, and that's not a flaw, that's the point. Admitting you need help perhaps could be terrifying. It feels like failure. It feels like you're admitting you're not good enough, not smart enough, strong enough to do it yourself. And in a way, that's true. You're not. None of us are. That's not a flaw. That's being human. But here's what happens when you finally say it. When you say the words, I'm stuck, I need help, something shifts. The weight doesn't disappear, but it lightens because you're not carrying it alone anymore. Other people pick up the pieces not because they have to, because they want to, because they were stuck once too, because someone helped them. It's one of the most important things trauma survivors can learn. Admitting you need help isn't weakness, it's the ultimate courage. It's saying, I can't do this alone. And I'm brave enough to admit it. That's not surrender, that's liberation. Because the moment you say it out loud, the problem starts to shrink. It was never as big as it felt. It just felt big because you were carrying it alone. You don't know your limits until you test them. You don't know how far you can reach until you've reached as far as you can and fail. That's how you learn. That's how you discover the edge of what you can do alone. And once you know where the edge is, you know where you need help. Trauma survivors often push themselves past their limits because they believe they have to. They believe asking for help is failure, but the truth is knowing your limits is wisdom. Reaching them is courage, and admitting when you've reached them, freedom. Once you admit it, you can let someone else carry the next piece. That's not giving up, that's progress. You need to figure out what you're afraid of, what you can't let go of. Let's call it naming the wound. There's something about language that changes the shape of pain. When you're in your head, it's formless, infinite. It could be anything. It could be everything. When you say it out loud, it becomes finite. A sentence, a story, something that can be held, something that can be shared, something that once spoken starts to lose its power over you. Sometimes simply saying it out loud rids it of all its power. Not because the thing itself changes, but because you're not carrying it alone anymore. The words are in the world now. Other people can hear them. Other people can say, me too. Other people can help you carry the weight, and the weight, when shared, becomes bearable. When you finally let people in, when you finally say the thing and ask for help, and you admit you can't do it alone, something happens. People show up. Not everyone, not every time, but enough. Enough to make it lighter. Enough to remind you that you're not alone. Enough is good enough. Don't let perfect get in the way of good or progress. This is what Blueprints is teaching you. You need other people. When you let them in, the impossible becomes possible, not because the puzzles change, because you do, and you're not alone anymore. The shift happens when you stop trying to do it alone and you post in the forum, and you ask a question, someone answers, and they're not judging you. They're not saying you should have figured it out. They're just helping. That's when it changes. Not the mansion. The mansion's the same. The puzzle's the same. The failures keep coming, but you're not alone with them anymore. You have people who understand, people who say, yeah, that shit on me too. Here's what I tried. Maybe it'll help. Look, you look in this corner. You see that? I missed that for like the first 20 runs, but it's there. Something else happens. You stop just receiving help and you start giving it. Someone else is stuck on a puzzle you finally figured out. Someone else is at failure 17 and thinking they'll never get it. You get to be the person that says, hey, I was there. Here's what I learned. Keep going. Connection is healing. Not because other people can fix you, because other people remind you that you're not alone. That the things you're ashamed of, other people felt them too. The failures that you're hiding, other people fail the same way, and worse. There's a reason therapy works, there's a reason support groups work, there's a reason that when you finally say the thing out loud, you get the picture. Something loosens in your chest. Because you're not the only one, and that changes everything. Blueprints isn't just a game about a boy and his grandfather looking for a secret room. It's a game about a community of people all stuck in the same mansion, all trying to find their way out, and the only way out is through, together. Blueprints on the surface is a fun, roguelike, room builder, puzzle, mystery, something to play on a rainy day, something to pass the time, but if you're willing to look deeper, if you're willing to give it one more go, it becomes something else. The creators put a ton of attention to detail into the game, whose whole purpose is to force you to look deeper than surface level. Every room, every puzzle, every hidden symbol, they designed it to be too big for one person, too complex for one mind, too scattered for one set of eyes. They designed it to be solved together. So if you're willing to give it one more go, you're willing to fail, ask for help, let people in, say the thing out loud, admit you don't know, let someone show you what you're missing. If you're willing to do all that, the game opens up. Not because the game changes, because you change. And that's the real puzzle. That's the real room. That's the 46th room. The one you only find when you stop trying to find it alone. The game teaches you you don't need to leave. You need to walk, you need to press on, you need to open the doors, to fail, to learn, to fail again, collect data, build strategies, discover that the worst that can happen has already happened and you're still here. So let's do it together. One of my favorite quotes is that the master has failed more times than the student has even tried. But what they don't talk about is that the master didn't fail alone. The master failed in a community. The master shared their failures with the student, and the student doesn't have to start from zero. The student starts from us. Everything is what you make it. For me, Blueprints is a game about trauma, about isolation, about the belief that you have to carry that weight alone, and about the slow, terrifying, liberating realization that you don't. But there are other people in the mansion. They're all looking for the same rooms, they're all stuck in the same puzzles, and they'll show you what you're missing if you let them. And just when you think you've reached the end, you find more. And then you wonder, just like the game asks, does it never end? And then you're there again. You start in the hallway, the same 3 doors in front of you, 1 door behind you. But this time you're different. This time it's different. Because you are. You know more, you have more resources, you have better resource management, you plan ahead, and you aren't alone. And you begin your journey through all the same rooms you've come to know. For example, you have the freezer, the coldest room in the mansion. Frost on every surface, nothing decays here, nothing changes, that's the point. This is emotional freezing. When something is too painful to process, the mind doesn't delete it, it just puts it on ice. Locks it away somewhere it can't hurt you, except it does hurt you. Just quietly, invisibly. The frost is the cost of not feeling. And we know this room. It's the part of you that's stuck at the age it happened. The memory you can't touch because touching it would break you. The freezer isn't a place you go to remember, it's a place you go to not remember. But the cold follows you everywhere. Even when you're in the warm rooms, still shivering. The boiler room. Yeah, it's the opposite of the freezer, but it's where the heat lives, the pressure that builds when you shove everything down for too long. Freud calls this repression. You take the painful thing, the angry thing, the thing you're not supposed to feel, and you push it down, way down, into the basement. You don't have to look at it. Except pressure doesn't disappear, it builds. We know this room. It's rage. The rage you didn't let yourself feel, the scream you swallowed, the I'm fine you said so many times you started to believe it. The boiler doesn't care what you believe. It's gonna blow eventually. Pause. The question is whether you open the door before it does. The bunk beds. 2 beds, empty room. This room isn't about your wound, it's about the shared wound. The person who was there who isn't now. A sibling, a friend, someone who shared the room with you, someone who knew the version of you that existed before the thing happened. And now they're gone. Not dead, just not here anymore. This room holds grief. The grief of lost connection. The people who were there before, but not the after. The ones who left, or who you left behind, or just drifted away because perhaps the weight was too heavy for both of you to carry. Grief lives in this room. It's not the dramatic kind, it's the quiet kind. The kind where you walk into a space that used to be full and now it's not. And you don't know what to do with the silence. And so you sit in it. And that's something. For now. The spare room. Every mansion has one. A room that's there but it's never used. For guests who never visit, for a life you never lived. Ambiguous loss. The grief for something you never had. The childhood that wasn't safe, the parent who wasn't present, the version of you that died before you got to meet them. This room might be one of the hardest to be in because there's no trauma here, no memory to process, just emptiness. The shape of something that was supposed to exist and didn't. And you don't get to mourn because how do you mourn something you never had? You can't fill this room, you can't decorate it, you can't make it something it was never meant to be. All you could do is sit in it, acknowledge it, let it be empty, and then when you're ready, leave it behind. Not because it's fixed, because you don't have to live in it. Now here's my favorite, the dining room. A table set for a family that isn't there. Plates waiting for hands that won't reach them. A room built for connection, for breaking bread, for being together, and it's empty. This room is the wound of isolation, the meals you ate alone, the holidays that weren't celebrated, the conversations you were never invited to. The family that was supposed to gather here but didn't, or couldn't, or wouldn't. We know this room. It's the absence of belonging, the knowledge that something is missing, even when you can't name what it is. The table is set, the chairs are here, but the people who should be sitting in them, they're not. And maybe they never were. Here's what the game doesn't tell you. Just like life, these rooms, you can upgrade them. You can turn them into something you want to live in. The freezer, where you put what you couldn't feel. But after the journey, after you've walked through it enough times, you learn that cold isn't the enemy. It's preservation. You choose what to keep, what to let thaw, what to release. The freezer becomes yours. The boiler, that buried rage you couldn't express, after you've sat with the pressure and let it move through you, you learn that the heat isn't the enemy, it's power. You choose where to direct it, what to burn away, what to build with the fire. The boiler becomes yours. The bunk beds, where you mourn what you lost. Of course, after you sat with the grief, you learn that absence isn't the end. It's space. It's space for someone new. Space for yourself. The bunk becomes yours. Spare room, you grieve the life you never had. After you've sat in the emptiness, you learn that empty space isn't a void. It's potential. It's where you build what comes next. The spare room becomes yours. And my favorite, the dining room, where you sat alone. The table set for people who never came. But after the journey, after you let people in, after you've asked for help and let them carry the weight, you learn that connection isn't about who was supposed to be there. It's about who shows up, who stays, who sits with you. The dining room is transformed. The table is full, not with the people who weren't there, but with the people who chose to be there. The chairs aren't empty anymore. They're filled with the family you built, the community you found, the people who walk through the mansion with you. The rooms don't change on their own. They change because you change them. Not overnight, not without pain, not without walking through the cold, heat, grief, emptiness, and isolation. You have to walk through all that first. You have to sit in it. You have to let it be what it is. And then when you're ready, you get to decide what it becomes. You learn through the journey. You learn through failure. You learn through asking for help. You learn through sitting in rooms you didn't want to enter. And somewhere along the way, you realize the mansion isn't something that happened to you. It's something you're building. Every door you open, every room you walk through, every failure you learn from, every connection you make, you're not just walking through someone else's architecture. You're becoming the architect. I'm Crispy, and this has been the Codex. What's the door you've been trying to open alone? What's the thing you've been carrying you haven't said out loud? Drop it below, or don't. Just know that you're not in it alone. The mansion is big, the puzzles are hard, but there are other people here with you. You just have to be willing to let them in. Your room 46 is waiting.